Next up, we have H for G-Type.
G-Type for 23 September. We got the actual frame in there, which is great. We got a little bit of a game demo in there, which I think is going to be really fun to have. It's like the arcade style. And just a quick fast forward to a little bit of extra material I added at the end of the current level. So here we go. All right, so Team G, we're +4 on GitHub contributors, so that's awesome. I really appreciate that. Got an extra Twitter handle in there on the Trello item, and one additional Trello member, so going right along. A lesson learned this week actually kind of goes back a ways. You know, we have these great mentors, Chris McFunkyPants, Karen Kartik, and Zach. Those are two professional mentors. They often have good recommendations for us, and I have found oftentimes that the recommendations might be a little bit challenging to accept right off the top, but take a few minutes to really think about them. When I was preparing the pitch for Dream Racer, I was talking with Chris, and he said, "Hey, what about doing a custom level editor instead of the tiled editor use that I was planning to use?" And I wasn't super excited about that idea. Then I thought I'd give it a shot, and it came together super quick. It was way more flexible. It was powerful. At the end of the day, we didn't end up using it to build the final levels, but we used it extensively for testing and for putting stuff in the game to make sure it was going to work. So that turned out to be a great decision to go with that recommendation. Similarly, received recommendations from Krister on the speed for G-Type, both the player speed and the world speed, and the collision body size for the player. So just an idea out there when you're talking with our experienced folks that are out there, spend a few minutes to think about what it is they're saying, coming from 25 or 35 years of experience in the game field. So take that on board. So art for this week, get the ghost ship in there. The animated one is the original version. The sprite sheet you show there, that I'm showing there, is the final version. We just don't have it animated yet, so we'll get it into the game. And then the player sprite down there, the not quite Infinity Wing, not sure, maybe we'll go with that or not, but we're going to switch out the player sprite. We just haven't gotten to that yet. It'll be a little more complicated because that sprite shows, the wing tilting left and right as the player shifts up and down. So really excited about getting that sprite into the game. For next week, really looking to, I think it'd be great if we get the game logo in there so that the title screen is really coming together. I would love to have that show up on the screenshot Saturday in the next couple of weeks. So really interested in having somebody give the game logo a go. And then some other things in there. Still lots and lots of enemies that we could use. So if you're interested in doing even just a really basic thing that could shoot at the player, that'd be great. For audio, Vignesh uploaded his Energize soundtrack, so we'll get that loaded up, figure out where we want to include that, whether that's one of the level musics or one of the menu items or something. Just as for Arca Ninja Droid, Chris Markle did great deal of work on special effects for G-Type this week. We got the shield reflect shot in there, so it's not implemented yet, but we've got it. I did version 3 of the normal firing. It's coming along great. I really like the current version a great deal. And we have a medium enemy explosion SFX, so that's great. And then Andrew added the laser firing and the non-shield power-up activation. So now when you choose to activate a power-up, you get a little bit of an audio feedback on that, so that's awesome. For code, T jumped in there and updated the options screen. So he switched it over to using the custom game font and added some of the options that are in there for controlling audio. So we just got to finish wiring that up so it actually does something for you, but we got the options screen moving right along. Andrew actually implemented the shield activation and the laser firing that he added, as well as the power-up activation. So that's great. Ian took on a pretty big task for us this week. As you activate power-ups, I want for the image in the UI to disappear so the player knows, hey, that power-up is no longer available for activation. You can only have one of those. You can only have 3 of those, whatever the right number is. And so he's been working on that, and that's coming right along. And he's starting to work on cheat keys. So right now he's listed the ones that are already in the game: C for more capsules, L for more lives, and the 1 through 9 to speed the game up. And then we'll get a few more added in there. Rybar came in and improved the post-death invincibility. So when the player dies, I had them just with a lower alpha. Now they blink a little bit, so that's great. Talking about doing some of the level design on level 1, so excited about that. For next week, incorporate more assets, get the ghost ship implemented now that we've got the sprite for it, and we'll continue design and development of the Force. For design, I had a couple of questions about what the levels would look like. One from Koi Compositions with respect to what the audio should be. So kind of the idea, if you're in open space, pass through an asteroid field, then you go through an area where there are large floating platforms with enemies patrolling back and forth on them, and then a mini boss or a boss at that point, so that it progresses along. If you look at Gradius, the game each level starts out with a section that looks very, very similar, where you have the opportunity to destroy a few enemies and pick up some power-ups in case you lost some during the boss fight. So start out with the open space area like that, and then progress to a little bit more challenge as you move along. If you're interested in doing a piece of the story, even if you're not quite ready to do it, please let me know. If I don't have anybody expressing any interest in story in the next few days, I'm going to go ahead and give it a shot, and then I'll post it up there, and maybe we can do some editing on it. But I'd love for somebody else who is interested to jump in and do that. If not, I'll take that one on. And I think it's time to start thinking about, okay, what is the level 1 mini boss going to look like? Or what is the level 1 boss going to look like if we're not going to have a mini boss? So some good design stuff coming up. For marketing, the week 2 video got 231 views as of this morning. Last week's is at 275, and the pitch video is up to almost 400. So we're moving right along there. Chris DeLeon's tweet on announcing the week 2 video got 4,000 impressions and 31 total engagements. That's great. And Screenshot Saturday, we have just over 200 fewer impressions on the Screenshot Saturday post from yesterday versus the one 8 days ago. So I think we're steadily climbing on the visibility with respect to the game in there. So, and your continued engagement with those tweets, I think, really plays a big role in that. So next thing is a quick demo. So this is just showing the game demo. Plays here. If you let it sit here on the main menu, it'll switch over that. And any key will get you back to the main and get started here. So hopefully you can hear some of those sound effects. So that was the activated power-up sound effect. And move through the asteroid field here. So here we are in week 4, working on the game logo. Got a temporary shields power up in there, so you can activate it, see how it works. But Kirby has said that she will be working on the sprite for that, so that's great. Got the ghost ship activation stuff in here, and some level 2 music. I think we got somebody working on that. For next week, I'll start putting together the first playtest feedback survey. So I'm going to put together a short list of questions to suggest to you things to think about as you play the game, and hopefully we get a few people to provide some feedback on that. We'll get those items implemented back into the Trello so we can move forward with the game. So that's it for G-Type this week.